Johnny Noble, how you doing?
Good, Jimmy. How are you? Glad to be here.
Excellent. So I'm excited to have you on specifically. I want to talk a little bit about sort of your transition from being a trial attorney,
Correct.
or real estate attorney, or something.
Construction.
Construction
Yes.
attorney to having a cosmetics company
Yes.
that you sell online, because that seems like two very different worlds.
They are. Yeah, they are. It was. I was a construction attorney for a long time, and then I went through some life stuff, and I just got burned out, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I spent a lot of time thinking about what I was going to do, and I ended up in cosmetics. It was a long process, but I just kept coming back to the same thing in the same industry, and so far so good. I love what I do now, and that's the most important thing,
Right.
to me,
Right.
at this point in my life, anyway.
Sure. So when you're making the transition, though, because especially selling online, I mean, having been in the digital marketing and technology world for over a decade myself, right? I've seen many of entrepreneurs who think that online is the easy way to make a buck, and I've learned that that's definitely not. It's the most obscure way to make a buck.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to do it, especially I think if you're a younger person and you're not committed to something like STEM. You're going to college to be, a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost feel like a young person is obligated to learn to do something, to have, even if you start as a side hustle, to have some sort of online presence, build a personal brand or whatever. I mean, when I went to law school, I had this discussion with my son last night. You had to go in certain directions. They were very limited too. And if you're going to have a business, typically it's some sort of brick and mortar business or some sort of traveling business or a cleaning business or whatever. But now, I mean, the world is a completely different place. If you want to start a cosmetics company, you can do that and have entirely an online presence. If you get large enough and popular enough that you can have brick and mortar, then more power to you. But the transition to me was, it was horrifying at first. I mean, because you have no idea what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But you learn as you go along. And I spent a lot of time on brand development and product development, things like that. So I had confidence in what I was doing, but you still have to get it out there, and you still have to pound the pavement to get the people to believe in what you're doing.
Right.
And that takes time and money and effort and stress and everything else.
So what were kind of the first steps that you took to taking obviously you originally developed some product or a product, right?
Yes.
And then actually selling it online. Take me through kind of the steps that you took there to make that happen.
I mean, because it was a cosmetics company, and there's this constant debate on places like Twitter where, you don't need a company and you don't need a logo, you don't need a brand, and well, go ahead and try to sell some cosmetics without a logo or a brand. I mean, you're just not going to do it.
Or try to sell a company someday without a logo or a brand.
Exactly. Yeah. People will have no faith in that whatsoever, because, a lot of companies that are going to acquire other companies are looking for the potential too. They want to see the sales numbers, but they're looking for the expansion potential and everything else too. So I did spend quite a bit of time on the branding process to come up with something that I thought was great, and it's pretty popular. It's been very well received. So I went through that whole process and the trademarking process. Having really good packaging, obviously having great formulas in the containers, that was a priority for me. And then you get all this stuff ready, and where do you go? What do you do? So you have to have some sort of a platform.
Yeah.
I chose Shopify for this right now. I'm actually thinking about transitioning to maybe WordPress or something else. But it's a good way to start, and it's a cheap way to start. If somebody wants to start a company, let's say you have a really killer idea for a beard product or a hair care product, whatever it is. I mean, you could start and test your idea for pretty little money.
Yeah.
Actually.
Barrier of entry is pretty low on something like Shopify.
It really is. And I mean, you compare the barrier of entry for something like what I started doing, what I'm doing now to, I'm going to open a store. I'm going to open a hardware store. I mean,
Right,
it's
right.
daunting. A lot of those are legacy companies and family heirloom companies and things like that. Or somebody has just tons of money to invest and they're going to buy something like that. But you can start from zero and get up to speed pretty quickly and get some results. But to constantly keep expanding is, I think, where the challenge comes in for something like cosmetics.
Right. Now, a lot of your products seem to be, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but a lot of the products I use, I guess, I am a customer as well as a.
Right on. You're a smart man.
But they're oil based, right?
Correct.
And I've talked to you a little bit about this before, but tell me again why. Because a lot of people associate oil as being bad with skin, right? They think about oily skin as being acne and crap like that, right?
Correct.
So talk to me about why you chose and what your path was as far as developing oil-based products specifically for the skin.
I started with sugar scrubs, and when you get into formulating for something, for any cosmetic product, if it's going to be water-based, it's a lot more complicated from the beginning than, say, an oil-based, or the term is anhydrous, no water. And I was studying a lot of oil-based products on the market at the time, like beard oils, and there's a lot too. It was kind of the underground of cosmetics for a long time, but now it's very popular. But at the time I was starting, I was
the oil-based is okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just because of what you said. People were
it's the stigma.
Correct.
Right?
People were scared away from it because back when the big cosmetics companies started with their creams and lotions and things like that, they did this kind of oil demonizing advertising campaign. They all did it. You could still see it on a lot of products, oil-free.
It's like what Zuckerberg's trying to do to TikTok right now, right?
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. So I started with studying a lot of these products that were on the market to see, what's in there and what are the markets like, what do the target markets look like, what's the potential like for face oils, hair oils, beard oils, things like that, sugar scrubs. Mm-hmm. And then with those formulas, you don't have to use the powerful antimicrobial, antibacterials that get a bad rap, like parabens and phthalates and things like that. So you can avoid a lot of that and have natural antimicrobials that don't have to be as powerful. Because when you throw in water, you're a lot more prone for the growth of bacteria and other pathogens. So, I mean, and that's probably the main difference between the two things. As far as oil being bad for you, I mean, if you look at the history of oils, it goes back thousands and thousands of years. These are some of the first products that were used by humans.
Right.
You go to Morocco and it's argan oil. You go to Hawaii and it's kukui nut oil. And every region in the world has some sort of a natural compound like this that people have been using for many, many years.
Well, wasn't frankincense and myrrh and those are all oil-based things, or am I way off there?
Well, those are essential oils. They are plant extracts. Essential oils are different from natural oils in a couple main factors.
Shows my ignorance in the oil category.
Well, it's not easy. It's complicated. But, things like frankincense and myrrh have also been used for thousands of years, and in skincare and in for medicinal purposes. The main difference between like an essential oil and a natural oil is essential oils are volatile, meaning they will evaporate. And they're usually stronger, more concentrated. Like both of the ones you just mentioned, frankincense and myrrh, come from a resin that comes from certain species of trees. And then it's processed and it can be converted into essential oils. It could be burned in that state as incense and things like that, or made into other products. So
okay,
yeah. But I use frankincense and myrrh in a lot of formulas.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
just additional.
Well, it's not only are they good for skincare and hair care, but they're antimicrobial. They're antibacterial. They have all these crazy great properties if you really dig into it. And they're great for skin, and they smell great. I mean, they're those scents that people have wired into their DNA for thousands of years. So, I work really hard on a few fragrances that kind of have a lot of those, types of ingredients in there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So when you have an idea for something, how long? So let's say when you decided you were going to do some kind of a beard oil, for example, or your tattoo oil, or your whatever. How long does that take from conception to, hey, this is something that I'm kind of interested in, to going for sale? Like, I'm sure it varies, but what's the normal timeline?
The process for me now is a lot more condensed. When I started, it might have been quicker because I didn't know what I was doing. And there's a tendency to just say, yeah, okay, well, let's give it a shot or whatever.
Good enough is good enough.
Yeah, I mean, and you go through that process. At first, it's like it's slow and fast and chaotic because when I started this back in 2015, I obviously didn't really know what I was doing.
Right.
But I just kept at it, and I viewed it. I took the work ethic from practicing law into this, and I just pretended that I was back in school again. And every day I'd get up and I'd study, and I would buy different ingredients, and I'd put them on my skin, and I'd smell them, and I'd test them, and I'd study them, and I'd see, what could I do with this, or do I even have any idea what I'm doing? And that's a very long process. So at first it was, horrible. It took a long time.
Because it was highly experimental as well.
Highly experimental.
I mean, with each ingredient, it sounds like, and then you start combining ingredients and doing even more.
Yes, and at the same time, I'm reverse engineering some other products on the market that I thought I could find, good niches for different types of things. So I was studying that at the same time. So at first the process was weird, and then I started to boil it down into kind of a science. Like, I have a sheet at home with all these questions that I ask myself about markets and packaging and product size and, everything that would give me the decision to go forward and say, yeah, this is viable and it has potential. Like, I have, 7 to 10 products in a hopper right now that I'm considering.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Anything you want to talk about?
I'm really high on
to talk about.
I'm really high on like a sports balm because a lot of the Noble Body branding goes kind of to the health, holistic fitness, like the Fit Body Oil and things like that.
Makes sense why I'm into it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's precisely right. So yeah, like I have a few, but I'm a lot more cautious now because I've had a few busts and I've had a few things where it's like, well, that wasn't really a good idea and I didn't think it through well enough. So there's a very different process there. And once you get to the point where you have, let's say, a formula, then, what are you going to call it? And, is your ingredient list sound? Is it done? What's the packaging like? And, I would get my designers, 1 or 3 of them, whatever, working on.
Your designers do good work. I will say that.
Yeah, the designer I have right now, I love. Those were actually done by 2 different designers.
Even like in here, is it this one or is it the black box? No, in here, the detail of the inside having, the little signatures on there, inside the box and stuff. And a lot of things that I know I would never think of, right? But you obviously did. And
I did it on that one.
It shows in the overall, you think about like the customer experience, right?
Yes.
And there's so many elements that show within your customer experience. Yeah, this one has a little design on the inside.
Yeah, and in something like cosmetics, when I look at it like developing a relationship with a customer. It's not a one-night stand type of product. If you spend the time and the money and the effort to acquire a customer, you want to keep that customer for as long as possible. Mm-hmm. And by doing all the right things, that's how you're going to do it. And they're going to change their minds. They're going to find something else that they might like or whatever. Sure. It happens all the time. So you have a constant rotation of new customers, and then you have a constant rotation of existing customers. I mean, to me, one of the most important things is keeping the existing customers happy.
Well, and I think that's one thing that actually makes you so different than a lot of online startups. A lot of online startups that I've talked to over the years, it's always been, they think of the customer experience as being from when they hit the website until they purchase or leave. Right. And that's, in their mind, that's their customer experience. And they don't think about, the conversion path of when they come back, or anything as it pertains to retargeting or anything like that. But then they also don't think of the repeat business and the lifetime customer value, and the cross-selling and all these other things that I know you and I have talked about fairly extensively at times. And I'm curious a little bit about where that came from, because like I said, that's very different from a lot of the online startups that I've spoken to over time.
I think the main factor is it's driven by the type of product. If it's an informational product that they're going to buy one time, then that's it. It's,
sure.
Let's say it's some sort of a course or training.
Yeah, but even then, there's always other courses. There's always other, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well,
and there's referrals, and there's all these different things. I mean, as far as the way I think about it, but I also grew up my career was raised in that world,
right?
And so I probably think about it a little bit differently. But in talking to many business owners, it was always, like I said, very short-sighted as it pertains to the customer experience.
I've seen both. I mean, I think obviously the best way is to treat the customer experience like an ongoing relationship that's going to go into the future. And I know friends and people on Twitter that are very good at it that might do training courses, physical training courses, weightlifting courses, dietary type stuff. And, you get these people to get on your newsletter or your email list, and then you constantly stay in touch with them.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's an ongoing debate with everybody too, is how much is too much and how much is enough. Like I try not to torment my email list too much, but, I'll hit them with information. I'll hit them with sales, like maybe a Mother's Day sale, things like that.
Right.
But I know people that spit emails out, and I get on their email list because I want to study what they do and how they do it, because maybe I can apply something in my business.
Yeah. I do the same.
Yeah. It's a really educational process, and you can get some really good ideas out of there too. Like some of these guys are emailing their lists every single day.
Absolutely.
And I shoot for once a week, once every 2 weeks. I mean,
sure.
I think that's good for a cosmetics brand, because you can't constantly be bombarding your audience. Yeah. So to answer your question, I mean, I think it's mixed. I think it's dependent on a lot of factors. And I think a lot of people mess that up too. I think they have a more short-sighted approach of, let's turn it and burn it and not worry about it, when they're missing the big picture of an ongoing relationship with a customer that benefits both sides.
The advice I've always given people on email marketing is email them as often as you can while still providing value.
Yeah,
right?
That's a great metric.
As long as your messaging or the content that you're putting out there is consistently valuable, if you can get away with it daily, great. You're providing value to that person every day. You're going to have a very loyal following. But if you're just pumping a bunch of garbage out
and trying to sell something every time.
If you're selling every time, or selling too often even. If you're trying to email every day because every other day you're trying to sell something, that's still garbage. You're not providing enough value.
That's brutal. That's a little
I mean, I don't want to be on that email list.
No, I've jumped off a few of those.
Yeah, plenty of them.
It's like I know enough.
I just learned why I don't want to email this way.
Yeah, exactly. And from that you could take things and apply it to your own business. Obviously, we're in two very different businesses, but there is Venn diagram overlap of what both of us do and how we do it and how we implement it.
Absolutely.
So there's just a lot of factors, but back to your initial question about packaging. I mean, I think the presentation of something like a cosmetic product has to be absolutely on point,
right,
all the time. And if it's not, people are going to drift away from it. It has to have all those design aesthetics to make people feel like they're part of your brand, and they want to continue to have your product on their vanity. And
I think it certainly helps you remember the brand. And you know what I mean? It's not just another bottle that's up there and you're saying, oh, I threw away the box. What is the name of that? Right.
Right.
What was that I was using? because whether or not you liked it, right? That's where the branding aspect is so important.
Right.
And then when you couple that with actually providing a high level experience as well, right? Then it makes that much more of a difference.
I agree. And the way I look at it is I have a pretty good roster of products now. So there's thousands of people all over the world that every day Noble Body is sitting on the edge of their bathtub, or it's in their vanity, or it's on, it's on the counter. And it's a constant reaffirmation every single day. So you keep those customers happy and they're going to keep coming back.
Right.
And I mean, it's absolutely critical for a brand and a company like this.
That's wild to think of.
Yeah, it really is. And I, at first I underestimated it. I didn't really grasp it. And then I realized the magnitude of it and the importance of the relationship and kind of the seriousness of it. Like at first when I started, it's like, oh, I could do this. And then I started to feel this sense of responsibility about the consistency of the products because, with a lot of these formulas, it could be a little bit of a moving target because during COVID it was a nightmare because I couldn't get a lot of the materials that I had been doing. So I had to get them from other places in the world. And frankincense from one place might be dramatically different from frankincense in another place. So it could subtly change your formula and your fragrance and things like that. So it's kind of a daunting process. But the longer you're in it, the more comfortable you feel with having to, change things like that on the fly.
Right.
But I had a couple disasters like that. I was there was one I was making some changes to the men's face oil because I thought I can improve it, and this is a few years ago, and I added this one ingredient that's kind of a fragrance ingredient stabilizer, and I immediately got several customers that contacted me like hating it.
Really?
Just absolutely hating it. Yeah,
because of the one ingredient difference.
Yeah, and it was real subtle too, and I couldn't believe it. Like I had several customers come right to me and they said, "Hey, what did you do? You changed something. This is terrible." Like, and
No.
A batch went into the garbage, a large batch.
And that probably wasn't
fun. It wasn't fun, but I immediately course corrected. I stayed in touch with every customer. I said thanks for the feedback. I sent an email to my list to talk about it and to tell people about it, and tell them we're going back to. It was one ingredient that I put in, and I was making a few changes. That was the only one that was bad, and then I ended up putting something in and pulling it right out. So,
well, and I feel like that's something that what you just described is something that comes with maturity within a company or a leadership team or whatever, in being willing to go to their customers and just say, "Hey, we messed up."
Yeah, we messed
right?
up. Yeah,
you have fall on your sword, eat a little crow.
Well, people respect that.
But I find that it also builds the most loyal. I've had clients where someone on the team or myself messes something up, and then just going to the client, being straight up with them and say, "Hey, here's what happened. I'm sorry. Here's some ways that we can fix it." Right. And they end up being some of your more loyal customers because they know that, you're one, I think it humanizes your brand too. But additionally, they know that you're being transparent with them about and in your case, what's going on their skin, or in my case, what's happening within their business.
Yes. Yeah. And it comes down to the integrity too. I mean, if people know that you owned up to making a mistake, I mean, how often do you see that in society now? Nobody wants to ever admit that they did anything wrong.
Right.
So when you get in a situation where you make a mistake, and I did make a mistake, and I told everybody about it, and I corrected it, I mean, I think there's a lot of respect there because people see the integrity and the commitment to excellence of your brand and your products.
Right. Right.
And that's how I've done it from day one because I can't do it any other way.
Right.
I never would do it any other way. And I see companies doing shortcuts and nonsense all the time. Like my manufacturer that actually makes the products now told me some really interesting stories about other companies and brands that I mean, people just don't understand like some of the darkness out there in
Right,
this industry, like any industry. But
But how many brands are willing to just sling crap to sell to get rid of it, and then they either might change something or discontinue that product? But there's never really a hey, we're sorry. Here's how we plan to make it up to you. Whether that's a refund, whether that's a whatever. There's a lot of brands, both local and national, that just
they just don't care.
They're more worried about the short-term gain of,
Right.
Or the short-term loss, I guess, than really the long-term loss, in my opinion, of what that does to their brand.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on the size of the company. You can look at big companies that have all kinds of issues. I won't name any names, but I remember one of them, a big nationwide, long-lasting company, had an issue with a deodorant, and it caused severe burns on lots of people. You can Google it, and you'll see horrifying pictures. And it was some ingredient issue where the ingredient came, and it was bad, and it messed up a whole batch. And they basically didn't even say anything about it. They just handled it and went on to the next advertising campaign or product, and whatever. That's what insurance is for. I mean, that's the big company mentality.
Right.
And it depends on the stratus of the company at the time. Is it a small company? Is it an up-and-comer startup? Or is it a big, giant company? Just, there's a lot of different ways that they handle that. The big corporate companies obviously handle issues like that much differently than a smaller company.
Well, even like back in, what was like the 90s, there was the scandal with Firestone tires, right? And they were blowing up and everything. And it came out way after the fact that, I mean, obviously they went back and, would replace everyone's tires. But it was only when it became national news and it came out later that there was documentation of people saying like, hey, there's some stuff wrong with these tires when they're in hot conditions, right? Like down here in Arizona. But it took it becoming a national problem, right?
People dying.
Yeah, people dying.
Yeah.
But before they were willing to own it and say, oh, well, here's how we're going to fix it now.
Yeah.
Well, the damage has been done.
Well, that's the big company formula that's right in Fight Club.
Right.
I mean, that's what the issue in Fight Club was. It's like, do we do a recall or not? And it's this little formula, and we plug all the numbers in. And having done litigation, that's both entertaining and horrifying, because that's the way those big companies think. It's just, what's the bottom line, and how much are we going to lose or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's crazy to think of.
Well, and those companies dominate these industries, and for me to come into cosmetics, it's almost like coming into it with a mindset of guerrilla warfare, because you have these big giant companies and everything is a top-down hierarchy approach, and then here I come, and I'm coming in from up above and trying to find different areas where I can exploit what I think is a good target market or whatever for a different product. Mm-hmm. And you have to do everything right, or you don't have a chance.
Right.
Yeah, and you just don't have a chance at all.
Crazy.
No. It is kind of crazy, but now that I know what I know, it's like I some days I feel like I'm constantly running a marathon to get to the starting line to run another marathon, because I really wanted to learn everything about what I'm doing, including the social media aspects and the advertising aspects and the formulation and the manufacturing. So it's been a constant educational process now for 6 or 7 years.
So what's been something that's worked for you from a social perspective so far? Just in general, what's been something from a social media perspective that's worked for you?
Well, I got my start on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I had been on Twitter since 2016. So I was building an audience and building a rapport and meeting people and communicating in the DMs and things like that, and making a bunch of friends. I've met lots of people from Twitter that I'm now friends with. And so I started that way. And then as I started to launch, I kept producing a lot of content relating to what this process is like as a cosmetic startup. And people were really intrigued by it. That's how I got my first men's face oil customers. And a lot of them I still have from that era of like 2008, early 2018 is when I started to ramp up the Twitter. So that's worked very well for me, and I still post a lot of stuff on there. I'm not as enamored with it right now. I still post stuff to, stay in the algorithm and don't get punished by the algorithm,
Right.
which you're aware of all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I have a gal that helps me with other social media, and that stuff's always effective. If you produce eye-catching content, informative content, you're going to get people's eyeballs, and then you're going to get some traffic, and you
Right.
may get some conversions. You usually do.
Well, one thing I like about your Instagram, I'm not on Twitter, sorry. Well, I have a Twitter account that we do post to and stuff, but that's not some place I spend a lot of my personal time. But on your guys' Instagram and TikTok, I know with the person who's doing your social media stuff, right? What I like about it is how playful the brand is in a lot of ways, and how fun it is, and it seems like something that, hey, I don't mind following these guys on social media.
Yes, a girl named Erica. She's very talented, and she's also great with images. She helped me with a lot of images for like if I'm going to send an email out for Mother's Day, she's going to do an image for me with a discount code
Right.
And she always comes up with something really creative. So she's very good at it.
She definitely has a good eye. There's no doubt.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's important. And it's a building process. Like a lot of these social media accounts, I had the IG and the Facebook for a few years and didn't do much with them. It was kind of sporadic, and then now she's on it. She's been doing it a lot more religiously, and it's been pretty effective. It definitely starts. You could see the momentum building of getting more traffic and more interest and more followers. I mean, the way I look at followers are great, but followers could end up being customers.
Right.
And that's the goal with social media for a company like this. It's not just to entertain or,
Sure.
Look at my great video or look at my ass in front of this cliff, whatever that you see so much of. It's the objective is to get people interested in your brand, and then you provide them information, provide them value, and then if they try your products, they'll realize, hey, wow, this is great stuff.
Right,
And
right.
I'm glad I did what I did. So, but you've got to get their attention first. And, the social media is kind of the first layer of grabbing somebody's attention to get them interested in your brand and your products.
Right, right. And yeah, I saw something, I actually created my own video about it, where I was quoting Alex Hermezi, where he's talking about, social media is dead. It's just media, right? It's just exposure. And the way that you get exposure and you hold exposure is through providing value of some kind, and being either entertaining, educational, or inspirational. And if you can hit on two or more of those, then you're really doing well, right? But if you could just hit on one of those with every piece of content that you post, right, you're in good shape. And then when you do have something promotional, it actually means something.
Right.
Right?
And people are more inclined to engage with your brand if you mix it up like that.
Right.
Yeah, like
No,
we were
exactly.
talking about
Yeah.
earlier. That's a really good way to look at that. Content is king. Like even
100%.
if you're a cosmetics brand, I mean, it's important. I pump out a lot of content related to. I've been on this kick lately of great ingredients and horrible ingredients. So I do a lot of posts on Twitter about here's cosmetic ingredients you absolutely want to avoid. I don't think a lot of people know how horrible a lot of ingredients are that are in these products that they're using. And so I do a lot of that, and I get quite a bit of interest. And then if I do, let's say I do a blog article on 7 horrible ingredients not to ever put on your skin or your hair,
Right.
I'll send it to my email list too. And, I know people, I get, feedback from it. So I know people appreciate it because it does take quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
To,
Absolutely.
to get it right.
Right.
But that stuff is critical, and then of course all the backlink stuff and the SEO stuff that we talk about. It's just not. It's you have to cover it all.
Yeah.
You have to cover it all.
Yeah. Again, that's what's impressive about sort of in many degrees, one man organization. That's you built it from the ground up as far as getting the formulas. You're actually manufacturing it yourself for a long time, and
I was, yeah.
and then promoting it as well. Yeah, that's more than a full-time job.
Oh yeah, it sure is. You get into it and you get some momentum and you have sales. I mean, sales solves lots of problems to be able to pay people to do lots of other stuff. A huge step for me was going from having to actually make product, which I was very comfortable with because I developed all the formulas from zero, from scratch.
Right.
But getting the formulas into a certified manufacturing facility was huge for this company. And it was a daunting process. It was another one of those things where I got to it, it's like, oh man, I have no idea what I'm doing. In manufacturers sending me all these documents, like, here's what you have to do, here's what your formula has to look like. And of course I screwed a few things. It's all in spreadsheets and it's all based on weight. And making 5 liters of a product is a lot different than making, 860 kilograms, which was an actual batch size for something. But you figure it out or you fade off into the sunset. There's no in between.
Well, and I think that's a big difference, on like understanding the formulas, the amount of time you take with them and everything like that and understanding each and every ingredient is a major differentiator between you and a lot of other, what I'm going to call smaller cosmetics companies, right? Because there's obviously the big monsters out there. There's a difference with the monsters too, but I think there's a lot that, they're either reselling something that they're white labeling, or they're just taking the exact same formula as what someone else is using and then reproducing it, which is kind of the same. They're just also manufacturing it at that point.
Right.
Whereas I know that you've gone through and actually done the research on the individual ingredients, like you were talking about before, where they come from in the world, right? And how it's different. The same ingredient technically, if it's from one part of the world compared to another, can have a different effect, or it can have a different, can react differently to other ingredients and stuff like that.
Yes, those are some great points. There's so many companies out there that are just taking somebody else's stuff and repackaging it in a cute package, the white labeling thing. I think that's very common. But what I'm seeing is, especially with the Amazon sellers that are well established, a lot of these younger people are starting to develop their own branding and products. I'm seeing a lot of it with things like supplements and nutritional products. Like the one I was just telling you about, Noble something I just saw on Twitter. It's like an animal-based nutritional product, like protein powders, and they develop their own brand and their own packaging. So I am seeing more of that in different industries, which is refreshing,
right?
Other than the same stuff. And then there's the people that just blatantly copy stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've had that issue. Where somebody literally copied the name of my company and added a word on it and tried to trademark it here in the United States.
I remember you telling me about that.
So me and my friend had to battle that. I have a friend that does a lot of the trademark work. So we got that thrown out, but there's a lot of that. You can't come up with something original for your company.
Yeah.
You've got to copy exactly what
my last name.
That's pathetic.
My business name.
I mean, it's literally pathetic.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the formulation thing, I felt like if I had my own formulas that I had painstakingly developed, which is the way it ended up.
Yeah.
I thought it would give me an edge because you see so many things where stuff gets copied and it's not original, and it turns people off. And to have something original, the original, that's a great product, and you start to get traction. I mean, there's a lot of companies that are built on one product.
Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
multiple products now. What is it? Cremo shave cream comes to mind. Those guys started a giant company with one product. They had some really deep knowledge of polymers. I remember I studied it years ago. It was just a really interesting story. But now they have a whole roster of products now. It was kind of like a groundbreaking shave cream. It's not even, I don't even know if it's a cream. It's more of like a lotion.
And your biggest seller is still the original face oil for men?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Still, there's others that are trying to catch up.
Well, but you were kind of a disruptor in that, right? Because you said, I mean, that's why it's called the original, because there was not others, right? I mean, there was not a lot of options for face oil for men when you developed that?
There were basically none.
Okay.
So when I started and I was studying different formulas, there's a lady named Linda Rodin that came up with what I think is the first commercial face oil formula on the market. It was called Oleo Luso. It was just actually recently bought by a big cosmetics brand. I think it was Estee Lauder.
Okay.
But she started this product when she was 59 years old and just given it to her friends. And she was well connected in the modeling and fashion industry in New York. So it kind of took off. So I was studying things like that. And then when I got to the point that I was doing it, I was researching a lot to find another men's face oil. There weren't any.
Right.
And that's how I ended up with the name, the original face oil for men. And it's trademarked too, because it is the original. It's the first one. I mean, there were some things on the market that were kind of pretending to be face oils, like Jack Black MP10. The 10 means you can use it for 10 different things. And the first ingredient isn't even really an oil, it's a silicone. So,
right.
you know, there were some things on the market that were kind of dancing around it. But as far as a true face oil formula, when I saw that, I got excited because I thought, okay, well, that's something I can exploit for the benefit of not only a particular product, but for the brand. And it's worked pretty well so far. It's
Very cool.
Definitely number one. And, you know, maybe I'll keep it that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Well, it looks like we're pretty much there on time. So,
Well,
time flies.
Time flies when you're in a podcast.
we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah.
Always a pleasure, man.
Appreciate it, man. All right.
Thank you.